and welcome to the October 6th, 2018 edition of Point Counterpoint, the 46360 show. The opinions expressed by the show's hosts, myself, Dwayne Perry, and Anthony Tony Hendricks, will many times conflict. That's the title, Point Counterpoint. Point Counterpoint is a weekly issue show for our area. Point Counterpoints always let you be the judge for yourself. We live in an information free-for-all. It's hard to see through all the misinformation and get to the accurate facts, what's right and best for our community. We will not libel or discriminate anyone or their views. We believe in the constitutional First Amendment, right of free speech, and we support anyone who voices their opinion as their duty to their community. This program brings you just that, an unedited, honest, candid discussion of issues. The producers of Point Counterpoint are solely responsible for the content of the show. But because the show is not rehearsed, we take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by our guests or for the information they gather from public sources. We will adhere to all applicable federal, state, and local regulations concerning limits of public speech and program content. The intent of this show is to thoroughly research current issues that affect our community, present the facts surrounding the issues, discuss the pros and cons, then present to our viewing audience what we together or individually feel is the best solution for both the community and the public. Point Counterpoint, the 46360 show, is a property of its producers, Dwayne Perry and Anthony Tony Hendricks, and may not be rebroadcast without the written permission of its producers. The producers take no responsibility for the opinions of others in the posting of comments in chat rooms, blogs, video logs, forum posts, or other media. We welcome and encourage ideas and suggestions for the show. We can be reached at 46360show at excite.com. Our shows will air on Comcast Cable Access and will be rebroadcast by us on YouTube under the label Point Counterpoint 46360 show. Again, welcome to Point Counterpoint, the 46360 show, brought to you by Dwayne Perry and Anthony Tony Hendricks. We hope you enjoy the topics, our discussion, and the show. Well, let's get started. What do we have on our agenda for today, Tony?
Well, today's the wrap-up show. So we did 4 weeks. This is our 5th week. But for the home viewers, I'm a Cubs fan. What's Dwayne wearing?
The Brew Crew. What can I say?
Milwaukee.
This is I am a Brewer fan, primarily because my son worked for the Brewers for about 7 years, some time ago, and I would go up and visit him every chance I got it. Milwaukee's a fantastic sports town. It's a quality baseball club, and it's just a good atmosphere up in there up in that area for sports. And this brings back a special memory. I got it one day. I would go up and see the game whenever my son Jason, my oldest son, would ask me. And one Wednesday it was, he asked me if I wanted to come up and see a game the next day, and I said, sure. And he asked me, would you like to run in a sausage race? And I said, well, absolutely. For those of you who don't know what it is, at Wrigley Field, at the 7th inning stretch, they sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, or Ballpark, and Stand Up. In Milwaukee, they sing Roll Out the Barrel, and one of their big sponsors, like the Cubs was Budweiser beer, when Harry Carey, one of their sponsors is like a Johnsonville, only a local sausage manufacturer, Clements. And at the 7th inning stretch, they have what they call a sausage race, where they bring 4 individuals out of the left field corner, and they're dressed in costumes, about 7 foot high, 8 foot, something like that, costumes, foam rubber. One is the hot dog, one's the Italian sausage, one's a bratwurst, and one's the Polish sausage. And I was the bratwurst that day. And it was, I took my daughter, it's on film, but it's not very good because she laughed so hard she couldn't hold the camera straight as she was filming it. So we got ready to go, and they brought us out. My son said, don't worry, Dad, you're going to win today. It's all prearranged. I said, okay, fine. And we took off, and at a pace, we were neck and neck, and all of a sudden the doggone hot dog just took off. And I thought, no, I've got orders to win this race. So if we didn't sprint all the way around to first base in a photo finish, I won. So that's my fond memory.
The hot dog was going to
The hot dog was going to ace me, and I just couldn't let it happen.
The Prowlers beat the hot dog. That's cool, because I've seen that. I didn't know you did that. That's
Oh,
really
yeah.
cool. I've seen that.
A lot of fun.
Sausage
And,
race.
and another time when I was up there, he told me, my son worked in media relations, which meant that he worked with ESPN Sports and Fox Sports with the statistics and all the game details about players and such. And he told me, come on up, I'll meet you in the press box. Well, it was my first time going up there, so I was looking, and there were a couple press boxes, and the one I picked I thought was right. When I opened the door, and who's sitting there in the first seat? The famous Ron Santo, the Chicago Cubs.
Wow.
The Cubs were
Wow.
playing up there that day, and my eyes must have been as big as cue balls. I said, oh, excuse me, and he says, no, that's okay. And he stuck out his hand, and I shook it. That was cool.
Ron Santa. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's the story behind that.
Well, that's fine.
Well, let's get down
I'm
to
a
business.
long-term Cubs fan, and I'm a true Cubs fan because even when they lose, I'm still the fan.
Yeah.
Been a fan since I was born, and that's just the way it is. I'm happy when they win, but I expect losses once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
All right, so our topics. Go over those right there. You got the first five, right? The first five in that.
Well, our first show, the first show that we're going to talk about today was September the 8th. We talked about the homeless situation in Michigan City versus LaPorte, what the two communities are doing to address it. Energy upgrades that the council had voted on a resolution to proceed with. Our sanitary district energy savings program that they're talking about from NIPSCO versus their stormwater program and the county's MS4 program, which Michigan City was a part of that one time, and they withdrew saying they could do it better alone and they could save money. And Tony has some comments about that, which he always does. The hospital moving out of town, which is scheduled, I guess, still for January 12, 2019. Lead in the water pipes in Michigan City homes and buildings. We've talked about that several times. That's an ongoing situation. It's not by any means resolved yet. We feel there's still some unknowns that haven't been addressed. And okay, that takes us on to the next program, which was the 15th. Again, we continue talking about the homeless, the energy upgrades. Wait a minute.
Yes, you're right.
No, these are the same two agendas. All right, well, we're going to have to figure out what we did the 8th, because that one was handwritten. Tony and I were flying by the seat of our pants for a couple weeks because we both had a lot of other irons in the fire things going
Then we
on.
went to the 22nd.
Yeah, now going to the 22nd. We talked about NIPSCO abandoning the lakefront generating station, which was in the newspaper, and what we feel is going to happen, what it's going to take to develop that site, and how we feel it's going to be developed. The NICD double track thing, and how that's going to be affected by the closing of the generating station, because South Shore Freight hauls every pound of coal that's burned into that power plant. They are a major customer of NIPSCO is a major customer at the gen station of South Shore. The Indiana Supreme Court decision that cities are going to be held legally liability for their police department actions, both on and off duty. And we will probably get into that again after we come back for our hiatus because of the recent Jason Van Dyke trial.
Oh, yeah.
And the outcome of that. That's going to be far-reaching. I don't want to get into it today, but that's going to truly have a ripple effect in this country. Then we talked about Sesame Street, Bert and Ernie issue. Are Bert and Ernie gay or straight? I asked Tony if we could put that on the agenda because I just thought it was the most ridiculous thing when I saw it on the news a few days before our show, and it was not only on local news, Chicago, it was on national news. And I thought, what are you guys doing, wasting your time and ours with an article like this? And then our last article we discussed was the Ileana Freeway. There's a move now to bring it back. And one of the major supporters is Indiana House of Representatives member Ed Soliday out of Valparaiso. We're wondering what he's thinking in doing that.
And then the 29th, we talked about this U.S. Supreme Court. We had a lot of court rulings lately. Access to phone records. Lots of ripple effects there. Michigan City financing and spending for energy upgrades. Dwayne, want to bring that back and go into some more detail because that was a deep bucket of items.
Yeah, there were several, just to interrupt, I'm sorry, but there are several items mentioned in a newspaper article, and with each item, they stated the annual savings. And my way of thinking is you've got to have a return on investment when you do things. There's a point at which these improvements have to pay for themselves. And a couple of them, the savings was so small, dividing the expense by the annual cost reduction, they were well over 100-year paybacks. And I just, that's not even worth considering to me. You got to, well, enough said.
We keep doing that in the show. Return on investment. Every business person looks at return on investment. Yeah. That's the number one. And our city council members, there's some good business guys on there, and that's what they do for a living. They look for a return on investment for the company they represent. Yeah. Let's go on. Notre Dame, the News Dispatch article, 53% of Michigan City residents are struggling financially. We talked about City Hall salaries, which I believe were last Tuesday. This shows the 6th of October. The budget for Michigan City 2019 budget, and obviously the recent Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. I think they're voting today.
Yeah, so they should vote today. Which one?
We're going to go right from the start. We don't take much time on this wrap-up show because we just want to go over what we did. So that was this one. Homeless. Okay, the homeless thing. It was last commissioners meeting at the county. Lisa Pierzakowski, Center Township trustee, came in front of the microphone and said that the property on 400 North is no longer going to be a homeless subdivision. So I guess everyone can, if you liked it, I guess you're upset. If you didn't like it, you can breathe easier. No 400 North homeless existence. I mean, I thought when that came up, I started thinking, well, and it dovetails to the hospital. If we got the big hospital sitting up there empty, maybe we could do something for the homeless in there, because that's pretty close to downtown. I don't know.
They could have that could be developed in its own campus.
Its own little campus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could be self-sufficient, training, education, supplies, services. It's a good thing.
Because you think about all the parking lots out there, and if they would.
And we've got to do something, because this is a deep issue, and it's going to stay with us. It's growing. I was on my way over to my I own a property on the west side of town, and I feed a couple stray cats. I have a real soft spot for animals. I had to bury one of them this week. I found one of them passed away over there. So I went over there this morning, and as I turned out of off of Gardena Street onto Franklin, there's a brand new a small business, husband and wife art studio there. Very nice. I've been in there, talked to them, very nice people. And I just glanced, and something wasn't right, and I glanced back, and there was a man sleeping in the doorway of their business, sleeping right in the doorway. And I took a picture of it, because it bothered me that much. If we don't have enough shelter space because our population is increasing so rapidly, that has to be addressed. If we have homeless, struggling people in Michigan City who just don't go to the shelter, which I understand during the summer months, a fair amount of them camp out in Ruby Woods behind the Owl store.
Yes, they do.
Something's got to be done about this. And I feel sorry. This young couple is working very hard to make their business go. Now, I wonder what did they wake up? What did they see this morning when they came in to open business for the day? Did they see nothing, or did they see a puddle of urine in front of their front door, like the young fella that used to own the bike shop right across from the karate studio and Panini? He moved out because he had so many problems. He caught people urinating in his doorways, or did they come upon a pile of feces or some vandalism? This is an issue, and I'm a sensitive person. Many Americans live a paycheck away from financial disaster. I read it that they live 6 weeks past, 6 weeks ahead of financial disaster. Now, if you get paid bi-weekly, that's 3 paychecks, and you're broke? Come on, we got to do better than that. And so it's an issue that we're going to continue talking about.
So the thoughts of the hospital using that is they have the parking lots, and maybe they tear up the parking lots because 400 North was supposed to be a community where they work and do jobs and garden and sell things. And we could probably have that downtown. It's pretty nice, and hopefully the sisters will look at that as a building. I mean, I understand there's churches here downtown, and homeless people come out there, and they're not really homeless. Maybe they're just down on their luck, and they have to have a place to plug their phone in and charge it up. So they got outlets sometimes outside the building. They're plugging their phone in because that's their only form of being in touch with their help. It's a serious issue. Anyways, that was our point on homelessness, and it's not going away. We can't push it out away. We need to give these people a chance. What was it? We are going to give them a hand up, not a hand out.
No.
So if they keep coming back and they don't want to do some work, and I like how Keys of Hope and those people say, we don't care about what happened before. When you come in here, we're moving forward.
Yep.
So you're going to have to give some effort, move your life on, help be a good member of society, and we will continue to help you. If you don't want to do that, and you just want to be homeless, then you need to find another place.
I will help anyone and support any program that helps someone who is struggling and would like so much to get back in the saddle, get their head above water, and get out on their own. But we do have people here in Michigan City who have dropped out of society. I know of one of them. And all they want for the rest of their life is no responsibility at all, no involvement, 3 hot meals and a place to sleep every night. Those people, no, they need to go. They're not helping our community at all, and they're not helping themselves.
They gave up. They just gave up on society and themselves. I saw a homeless person waiting just out on Franklin, which was wild this morning, outside of Olive Garden on the street. So that's pretty far out.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Energy upgrades to City Council. I didn't do any more research on it. It's just that my thought on this, and we brought it back twice, was the city has blessed with the casino. We have great workers who are smart and responsible and educated and experienced. They know what we need. Why are we going to pay another firm who's going to make a profit to tell us how to make our stuff more sufficient? That didn't make any sense. Let the people blossom in the job they can do and give them the opportunity to show how good they are. We don't need outside consultants.
I don't know what former mayors Sheila Brilson and Chuck Overly did, but under Ron Mears' administration, under his leadership, the city does nothing. We hired a city engineer, we hired a city planner, and everything that Michigan City does, we go outside, we hire out. We hire a consulting firm. We have the horsepower here in LaPorte County, we have the horsepower in Michigan City, but we're not using it. And there's no excuse for that in my opinion. Again, I'll say, as I've said every time, if we didn't have the riverboat funds, we would not be conducting business the way we do in this town now.
My point of that was, if in the business world we see the same thing. If you got workers who can accomplish it and are skilled and talented, and then all they see is consulting coming in doing what they already had the idea to do, then they think, well, why do I even try? I'll just pick my paycheck and my health care and I'll go home, because you're obviously going to hire a consultant. You don't need me. I'm just the, the token here, and I'll just keep working and get a paycheck, because you're just going to hire a consultant that we could do ourselves.
Yeah.
You got to trust in your people and have faith in them. They'll surprise you.
Hire people that produce. That's the way it works. If they don't produce, you get rid of them and you hire somebody that will produce. But if you got talent, use it.
Yeah, if they don't have talent, they're going to get dissuaded, and they'll be like, well, I'll just keep working then, because nothing I say is a good idea. They're going to hire a consultant anyways. So I'll just wait till the consultant tells me to do what I already know I should do. Anyways, sanitary district energy savings, again, same thing. But this time NIPSCO's involved, and NIPSCO's giving us some money back for some savings and energy efficiencies that I think we already knew about. I guarantee you the workers already knew about these things. It's not hard. We tell the audience all the time to go on the internet. I mean, it's not hard to look on the internet for anything you want to know. If you had a good idea, they could say, oh, well, this is what other communities are doing. Let's do that. Why do we pay a consultant? But my beef, again, was sanitary district in Michigan City. Michigan City, Trail Creek, Long Beach, City LaPorte, and the county are all together with the MS4. That's a stormwater quality improvement requirement by the federal government, state of Indiana. And Michigan City decided to leave that partnership because they could do a better job and cheaper. LaPorte County does it for pennies. I think a couple $100,000, and we have all those communities.
And what does Michigan City spend 3 to 4 times what they did when
Michigan
they were
City's got their
part
own
of the
people,
county MS4?
And they got, well, they had money. They had,
MS4 is stormwater. Avoid problems.
but communities like Maryville, Highland, Sherrill, they spend like $1 million a year. So Michigan City is spending less than them, but I think Michigan City's charge of being the partnership was like $35,000, and now they're spending a couple $100,000. I mean, it wasn't, in my mind, it wasn't. Again,
well, Tony, you know that I've had heartburn over the sanitary district for a while.
Well, the fees and the increase that we went with, the stormwater fee that stopped.
First, it was a sanitary rate increase that they had to have to conduct business as normal, 35%. I proposed, when I was on the council, I proposed 2 different options. I said, if you have to have it, stair step it over the next 3 years. Don't hit a community that, according to the IRS, is 70% low income with a 35% rate increase in one year. Don't do it. Well, I lost by 1 vote on that. I'm not going to say who the councilman was that voted. That was a swing vote, but lost that. And now so many of the things that we're spending money on, we're going through the sanitary district to spend the money, which I don't know. Is that part of the 35, coming out of the 35% that at that time we were told were for critical services that, daily services that had increased in cost? I don't know. And then we had our famous stormwater fee that, thank God, after our show it was canceled. That would have been catastrophic.
Yeah, and what you are right. You are exactly right. We couldn't stair step. We couldn't get these projects done right away. It would take years to get them done. So let's ease our way into doing these projects. But I don't think that's what they did. I think they said, we got X number of projects. We're going to do them all as fast as we can, and we won't have the money for a few years. So we'll go bond it for the future money, which means we went backwards again with a bonding again. We gave somebody.
We took a loan. A bond is a loan. Right now, Michigan City, principal and interest, the amount of money that you borrow, plus the interest that you pay back, is $69 million. That's a chunk of change, people.
So that's where we went, that we're blessed with some money. Can we please use it wisely? We can work our way into getting some of this done. Okay, the hospital moving, we brought up with the homeless. January 12th, they said that they think they're going to move. Hospital's moving right along. We take a lot of beating all the time. Someone calls us obstructionists. That the hospital left Michigan City. They left. They went to the county. Now they're adjacent too, but they are no longer in Michigan City. They left. And lots of hospitals. It's not just Michigan City. Porter County. Oh, they left. Valparaiso went to the county. They left. Lots of hospitals are moving out.
I still don't understand it. As we sit here, I don't understand why. I drive by on 94. I had to go over to Gary yesterday afternoon. I drive by and I see that big, beautiful hospital, and I think, what's the advantage to being right there? I don't see any advantage. It services primarily the people of Michigan City. So now it just moved, 7 or 8 miles south of the central location to had? And St. Anthony Hospital had a real old wing. The northernmost wing is very old, but I've been through that hospital.
Not bad shape.
No, as I visited people I knew that were ill, and I know that were ill, and it was a perfectly acceptable hospital. Are we doing it because we think that everything that Valpo or Porter County does is the right thing to do? Is it monkey see, monkey do? I don't know. I don't see any advantage.
The accountant said must have calculated something.
Yeah.
All right. The lead in the pipes. That was because I did a lot of research, and I thought in the news, and everyone's been talking, Flint, Michigan started it, right?
Yeah.
The pipes and their water. That I thought, these were old pipes, old lead, cast iron, lead, soldered pipes. And that's not true. The EPA says a lot of it's coming from the 70s, early 80s with the lead in the copper
In the solder. In the solder,
I did not know that. And then I didn't bring it, but you can go to Lowe's and Menards, and if you think you got lead in your water, you could put it in this kit and send it to them for what, $25. And they'll send you an EPA certified test return if there's lead in your house. So if you...
We encourage you to do that. Please do that if you're concerned at all, because I've had people, when I was a Fifth Ward councilman, ask me if I could do anything for them, that they took samples of water and asked local labs to analyze it, and they were told no, that they would not analyze Michigan City's water. I could never figure it out, but it's reality.
I'm sure the water's good when it comes out of the water plant, but if we've got old 1970s copper with lead solder, we know the culprit. So that's pretty simple.
And I'm not saying that it's the city's responsibility, the big bad city. When the homes in Michigan City were built, whenever they were built compliant with the federal building code, the Uniform Building Code. So the materials that were used were approved by the federal government, state of Indiana, LaPorte County, and Michigan City. Now, if Michigan City people have lead in their blood, they have lead in their system because of lead in anything in their house, that responsibility is not 100% Michigan City's. But Michigan City should be taking action to get help from the county, the state, and the federal government. One of them or all of them, which is not happening right now. All that Michigan City's government is doing is offering advice. We'll advise you what you should do. Well, I'm sorry, the people didn't do anything wrong. They went by the rules.
They didn't even advise them to go get this test. You go on the internet, you can find it. It's $25 or something. It's nothing. If you suspect lead in your water, and the EPA said things, they had some neat stuff. The EPA said you should run your water for a few minutes before you're drinking it. Just some simple stuff. And that's from the EPA. That's not us making it up, and Michigan City, I'm sure, knows about it. These are simple things that we're not saying anyone's fault because they're industry standards, but it's something we have to deal with.
It's a job of government to serve the people and protect the people when they need it.
Public health, safety, and welfare.
And this is a situation that the people need help.
I think so too.
Plain and simple.
Then we went to our 922 show. NIPSCO announced they're shutting down Michigan City Lakefront Generating Station. Now, a little side note, I thought about this last night, thinking about this. Why? Why not? I know some NIPSCO people. And, yeah, my brother works for NIPSCO, but it's not him. And I say, electric side, well, why? Why not? Why? And no one really, we all don't know. But they're going to shut it down, whatever, 10 years or whatever, they're going to get out of coal. Well, I started thinking about it last night and thinking, well, NiSource is big natural gas people.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I looked it up.
natural gas is really, really cheap. So it's in their best interest to not use coal because it's environmentally unfriendly and it's more expensive. It's also in their best interest to use natural gas because if natural gas becomes more expensive, they make more profit. So I'm sure some accountants are like, hey, let's get rid of, it's an eyesore anyways. No one likes it. It's a pain. It's coal. Let's just close it down.
It basically
It's a win-win-win.
Is it an asset or a liability? And I think they feel that the Lakefront Generating Station, because it's in a metropolitan area, even though Michigan City is only 31,000 people, it's a liability. They're not phasing out Wheatfield, which is 4 big generators. I've never been to Wheatfield. I don't know whether they're natural gas or coal.
I think they're coal, but they're huge.
They're huge, four huge boilers, and they're out in the country.
So, but they have water. They get their water from the Kankakee River. They have a ditch that connects right to the Kankakee to cool that water. And they have these big cooling ponds. But the gist of that was if their NIPSCO's leaving, that's how we dovetail into the double track. Now, I would gain a whole lot of respect for the city administration if they said, wait a minute, game changer, this is a different game now. Why are we doing double track on 11th when we know what's going to happen in 10 to 20 years up on the north side? And I'm not a north side track person, but it's time to step back and think about this again before we get to the point of no return with a double track, 16th Street shut down, and freight running down 11th. This is a time to step back and say, wait a minute. And I would hope they wouldn't do this in secret. They come out the paper and say, yes, this is a game changer. We are going to reopen the issue of 11th Street double track because this is so important for Michigan City. And where that goes, we need to relook at the economics. And I guarantee you, NICD, they've always told us they want to be good partners. They're not going to say, no, we're done, we're moving forward, forget it, we're not reviewing it, got this one in the bag. I'm sure they would open it up.
To me, Tony, that's 6 of one, half dozen of another. I think any route through Michigan City, 11th Street is acceptable if they don't cut the city in half, if they can figure out a way to do it. I was opposed to the north end on 2 reasons. One, that people don't think about, and I developed a third reason after we put it on the agenda, because I went back and looked at my records, and I looked at a handout that NICD gave us when they were trying to sell us on the double track program. And like I said, 11th Street, I was opposed to the north end because it's a combination freight and commuter. Freight is heavy locomotives, heavy rail cars in an area that's very close to the beach. All your foundation, your subsoils are primarily sand, which shifts with vibration, which you would have a lot of vibration. The oldest buildings in town up there, like Ryan's Irish Pub, in that area, the library, the zoo. The zoo's constantly having problems with the shifting, the settling. Doors don't open correct and close, that kind of stuff. Plus, if you're going to run freight, heavy freight will not make it up a steep incline. You have to have a very gradual slope for heavy freight because the driving mechanism is steel against steel. Steel wheels on steel tracks without much friction. So you've got to have a very gradual slope. And those trains would have to cross over Trail Creek at the same height as the street bridge that leads to Blue Chip. So to slope that track up high enough to get over the Trail Creek, you would start way out by Mount Baldy. And when you got down to the heart of town, where looking north, those tracks were crossing Franklin Street, it would block the view of the lakefront. It would be amazingly high. You'd be astounded when you saw how high it would be. That's why I was opposed to the north end. Then the last reason, and I don't know why Michigan City didn't take a better look, and I was on the council. I'm as guilty as they were. The council was so divided on which path to take, and all I had to do was see what I saw, the elevation that it had to travel, and the effects on the buildings, and that was enough for me. Well, the last time we spoke about it, I dug out my records, and the company that was going to lay this whole thing out for us, right where City Hall is at now, where the police department was at, and where the News Dispatch building was at, was going to be our new station with parking lots, open air parking lots, or a 4-level parking garage. Mm-hmm. And here, all we hear about now is, man, we're going to develop the north end because that's
livable, walkable.
Livable, walkable, and it's our Gold Coast, so to speak. And we're going to, and if we'd gone with that plan, we're going to let them put parking lots there. You know, so in the south end was, it was 2 blocks away from my house. So I would have heard every whistle that everybody else heard in my neighborhood. But since working in LaPorte, they built a viaduct up over their tracks. And because LaPorte gets an enormous amount of rail traffic going through LaPorte. And life, once they did that, life goes on uninterrupted. And we may have had to do that ourselves if we're going to, and we are the heartland of America. Any company that moves its products from east to west or west to east, they have 3 routes they can go. They can go right through us, they can go way down south, or because of the Great Lakes, and go up through Canada. So we are the heartland, and we are where they're going to run. So we've got to learn how to we got to figure out how to make that work, where it doesn't devastate LaPorte County and Michigan City.
We're the crossroads of America.
Yes, we are.
That was a plate back in the day. But if we, and I've been clear, if it has to be 11th Street, I don't think we need to close the streets. We could just double gate everything, leave the crossings open, they're still safe. That stops them from honking the horns. At least we get that.
We have a responsibility to protect our community and the community services. Public busing, school busing, fire, police, ambulance. We have a response services, garbage pickup, snow plowing. We have a responsibility to protect, and I feel that we were not doing that.
And one last thing on that was that ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court or Indiana Supreme Court that Indiana's law that says trains can't stop more than 10 minutes, block intersections more than 10 months is not acceptable. It's against the federal rules, so they threw that out. And here we go. If we get a 100-car freight train down 11th, sorry, you only got 16 streets already closed, only a few left. If you block them, oh well.
Yeah.
Can't do nothing about it. Federal standards. All right, so Indiana Supreme Court decisions. We can do those, right?
922 we're looking at, right?
922, where they said some police officers were off duty working another job, and something happened to a lady, and she sued them civilly, and the Supreme Court said the community is responsible. They have to pay. And we can dovetail that right into
the Jason Van Dyke trial.
Jason Van Dyke, and we can dovetail that because I said that I found out the Lake County Sheriff requires their officers to have insurance for any event they work off duty, or they are not allowed. They have to tell them what they're doing, and they have to have insurance because Lake County doesn't want to pay either.
Right.
And then you got the Jason Van Dyke ruling to let you have that, but there's also something just happened in Gary a few weeks ago. It's on YouTube. That a guy was, and the guy's got some issues in the past, but he was out in front of his house. So a couple police cars late at night. He started videotaping them. He went out. He's videotaping the officers. They got unruly with him. They told him, "You don't have the right to videotape us." They handcuffed him, put him in jail, and now the ACLU is now suing those 2 Gary police officers, and they're up under investigation because he had it all on YouTube. He did it live, and I don't understand how anyone doesn't realize you're being photographed live. This is going international on YouTube live. Why would you say something that's completely untrue, that we don't have the right to videotape you? You're a public official. We are too. You're working on public streets. Personally, I'd be like, go ahead. As long as you don't interfere with us, I'm fine. And maybe I'll talk to you afterwards to tell you what's going on. That's just good public input. So even that's happening right over in Gary, that the ACLU, and who's going to pay for that? Now, those officers were on duty. The Van Dyke thing came out in his trial that he had been cited 20 times prior to this, and there have been settlements with the city of Chicago and him for up to $500,000.
What are you talking about now?
Van Dyke. Before this happened, he had 20 citations against him for different instances, and there was settlements with those citations.
I never heard that.
It came up in trial. And he was $500,000 the city had paid out for the things he had done to settle. And now this.
I don't know what to think of that. Like there's constantly, and now the trial is over, so we're going to have a hard time finding out. Not that it makes any difference. We're going to have a hard time finding out what actually happened. He was a 17-year policeman. First time he ever fired his gun. Mm-hmm. And talking about new information, I didn't realize it. I didn't know it until just this morning. I was watching it on the news. They said that he fired his gun within 20 seconds to get out of his car.
Yep, jumped right out, started firing.
He jumped out and let him have it. And, but then you hear both sides of the story. His attorney in his final statements, he held up a knife and he said, Laquan McDonald would be here with us today alive, and we wouldn't be here in court if he'd just done this, dropped the knife when he was told to do it. But he didn't. He led him on a 13-block chase, plunging a tire into a car, stabbing at a windshield on another car, waving it around, and it's the whole thing. But the trial's over now. It's over. But what we're going to see in the future, and this is why we brought this up, because of this, you're going to see less individuals seeking a job in law enforcement. It's going to be like the military, getting people in the military. They're not going to want to go in there. And the police officers that are already serving, they're not going to work as hard to catch suspects. Somebody takes off, they'll lead them on a 4-block chase, and then we lost them.
Yeah.
They're not going to run them down and get into hand-to-hand confrontation because they don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, they might be personally put in jail.
It's in the back of their mind, maybe they're going to be on trial next year, looking at prison time. And there's so many aspects of this that I don't believe are considered. He still broke the law. I fully understand that. He took a life. He didn't kill an innocent man.
No.
The man was carrying a weapon and waving it around. And he was following procedure. Because another thing I learned during the trial, they said that was his shooting Laquan McDonald till he couldn't move, was what he was trained to do when he went through training as a police officer. His instructors told him, when you have an armed assailant and you fire, you shoot until he can't move. And that's exactly what he did. And now, God only knows how many years he's going to spend in prison.
So there was a no-win situation there. So that was our Indiana Supreme Court decision and a wrap-up. Sesame Street, the quick, why are we even talking about it? They're puppets. Enough.
Yeah.
These kids do not need to deal with adult issues. They have enough to deal with on their own as kids.
Well, Tony, we probably shouldn't have even gotten into the Jason Van Dyke thing, but 5 weeks from now, it'll be old news. So I guess that's okay that we did that.
Yeah.
But really, the reason the Indiana Supreme Court decision was on our agenda was because it took the power of law enforcement away from a little bit of their resources of police. And the example I gave was, say, Dairy Queen was robbed, and Michigan City Police, they're sure I did it, but I've got an alibi. I got somebody who says, hey, he was with me. We were sitting there watching TV. But they in their heart, they know I did. Well, before this decision, if they knew I had an AT&T or Verizon cell phone, they could go to my provider and say, we would like to see this individual's phone records that we think he was without a search warrant. They could do it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And if the telephone company said, well, yeah, you think he's criminal? Yeah, look at him. And if my record showed that I was at that location at the time of robbery, my phone was, and our phones are like homing devices. A lot of people don't know that, but we told you then. As long as your phone is on, it's constantly searching for a signal from a tower, and that tower is pinpointing its location. So your phone device is a GPS that people can pinpoint where you're at. And then they see that I was in that Dairy Queen, I'm arrested. But the Indiana Supreme Court said, nope, that's a violation of privacy. It's a violation of their rights to privacy. But even deeper than that, that was used by other law enforcement and our federal government in the fight against terrorism since 9/11. So that decision by the Indiana State Supreme Court was very, very important. It was a landmark decision. Hopefully, it'll be overturned by the federal Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court. But here you got the balance. Nothing corrupts so absolutely as absolute power. Now you get to Edward Snowden. Once President Bush did the FISA thing, and they could ram search warrants through, everybody became surveilled by the NSA. And Edward Snowden saw that, and he just couldn't live with what was being done to the American people. My opinion again, Edward Snowden's a patriot. He's not a traitor. So it's very far-reaching, these things.
Oh yeah.
I guess we got to pick it up. We just saw our buddy Andy, and I guess we're moving right along.
All right, so Ileana Freeway's back. That just dovetailed to our discussion of past shows that if they're going to think they're going to toll the interstates, fine, but toll everybody, because we understand 465 around Indianapolis won't get a toll.
Yeah.
Not fair. So 929, you did the Indiana Supreme Court ruling on law enforcement access to phone records.
Oh,
the beef of that was that if they did access phone records and the Supreme Court overruled the Indiana Supreme Court and said that's illegal, it's against your Privacy Act, any court case they had previous to is going to get thrown out. So whatever good or bad that person did, it's a technicality, and they're going to walk free. So all that work the police did is gone. We did Michigan City upgrades because you want to revisit those cost analysis. Doesn't seem to make sense. We keep going over, and you said it, 53% of Michigan City residents are struggling financially.
And what do we keep doing? We keep bringing more restaurants, bars, stores, low-paying jobs. Not one. Michigan City has not had one $20 an hour job brought to it. And I can't remember when. I guess since Sullivan Palatech split off from Solaire. We're just not bringing opportunities for people to make a decent living without working 2 or 3 jobs. Young people today are sharing apartments, 2 or 3 kids to an apartment because husband and wives are both, because they can't afford an apartment. They can't each afford their own apartment. Husband and wives are both working, not making ends meet. We have a responsibility, Michigan City, to create an environment that people can live in. More than public safety, that they can live and prosper in advance.
Livable wage. I want to say, because we kind of joke about it, that the industry we bring in is mattress stores, tire stores, restaurants.
Microbreweries.
But I just saw that mattress firms declaring bankruptcy. So we're going to bring these places in, and now they're bankrupt, and because we got, what, 4, 5, 6 mattress stores?
I've noticed that. You drive around town, and one weekend I mentioned this on our program, I wondered how many restaurants do we have in Michigan City? And I started up at the lakefront, and I drove all the way down to 400 North, and I just looked both sides of Franklin Street within 1 block, and I counted 78 or 79 restaurants in a town of 31,000 people. So let's bring.
We need to focus on something other than.
Yes, like LaPorte has done.
Yes, LaPorte is.
Renault, Alcoa Aeronautical, Calmet. I could go on and on about what LaPorte's doing and we're not doing.
So the latest one and happening today is the U.S. Supreme Court Brett Kavanaugh appointment hearings that are happening. We will see that, good or bad, in the ballot box in what? Less than a month?
Yeah, we'll see.
In a month.
We'll see some effect of this in the ballot box.
What's this going to do for people? Because I brought this up and was hoping we had time for it. This is the U.S. consumer sentiment that the University of Michigan puts out every month. And I started thinking about it at work, where are we? I mean, and you look at the president, say they're the leader of the country. What did each president do during their term, and how did the U.S. consumers feel about that? And I thought, well, everyone's saying the economy's booming, stock market's great, whether you like Trump or not, and whatever's going on with the Russian election or whatever that is. What do the U.S. consumers think about that? Because that's what shows up in the polls and the voting. And you look at this, and I gave you a copy, but it's too small, but they gave me the whole thing from late 50s when it started to right now. And you see highs and low points. In some places you see sustained, consumers are very happy about what's going on. And so I started breaking it down. Who was president? You look at the Carter years, because 100 is like the baseline. So the Carter years is hovering about 60 to 70. Reagan, it was about 95 to 100 for 8, 9, 10 years. People were happy. They felt good about the economy. They were spending money. They were probably making a good wage, and things were going on. And then the Bush years, Bush 1, it went down. We knew that. And Clinton, it was 110. So that's like the 98, the boom time, the tech bubble. Everyone was real happy. I mean, that was the peak. 110.
Yeah, but why are they happy, Tony? We need to look. You need to look at that. They're happy because
Why they feel good.
Consumers. You said they're consumers.
Why would
consumers buy things? If we've got more grocery stores, if we've got more restaurants, we've got more box stores, that makes consumers happy. But does it make the young people happy?
Yeah, why were they feeling
They can't
good?
shop at those stores. They shop at the dollar stores. You go to any dollar store in Michigan City or LaPorte, and they're incredibly busy. I buy my milk in LaPorte
Oh yeah.
because I can get Dean's for $1.50 a gallon. Can't get it anywhere else.
We see the
And if I don't get in there within a couple hours after the truck delivers the milk, it's gone. Why? Because people are struggling. I could afford to buy my milk other places, but I can't resist a bargain. So I take it.
Well, I was wondering because, they say the economy's doing great. Unemployment's the lowest since 1969. The consumers must feel good right now. Michigan City, I don't think, was ready and is barely feeling any of it.
No.
Yeah, people are struggling. But, America as a whole is feeling good. And so I looked at it and I think, okay, where's this going to go? Because we know we have these ups and downs. So where is this up and how far up could we go? And I looked at it and I found out that Clinton years, it was about 110 and we're at 100. So it still got some upside to go. So we could still have 3, 4, 5 years of upside as America, not as Michigan.
It's hard to understand. It's hard to understand because right there, you said the Clinton years.
Yeah.
And what do I remember Bill Clinton for? NAFTA. Sent a lot of jobs.
Welfare to work.
What's that?
He did welfare to work.
He did welfare to work, but he also did NAFTA.
And the tech boom.
NAFTA. Okay, welfare to work is lower wage jobs. NAFTA sent some good jobs to Mexico.
Sure did.
So you increased unemployment through NAFTA, and you had lower income people, struggling people. You created jobs through the welfare to work program.
But people felt good
So
for some reason. They felt good about the economy.
It's hard to understand the numbers sometimes because we're inundated with charts and numbers.
So that's what I was trying to think. If this is all going boom, because I've seen this when I was a kid. 78, fell apart. 98, 99, it fell apart. The boom bubble, the tech bubble just burst. I mean, that was people. That's people doing some crazy things. WorldCom, Enron, some real wacky things going on then. 2008 kind of fell apart with the Bush. And Bush kind of took back over.
2008, 2009
bust with
undervalued
mortgages, with the mortgage scandal.
Devastated thousands of people.
And now it's 2018. So that was about every 10 years.
Remember Enron?
Yeah, Enron,
Oh my
WorldCom.
God.
So back, here, a quick story before he gives us the time. When the tech bubble busted, I went for like 20 cents. I bought 10 shares of WorldCom, and I made them send me the stock certificate. So I have the stock certificate from Enron, WorldCom, all the people that just
went bust.
I got real stock certificates.
You got some good souvenirs.
I got some souvenirs for
That's wild.
a couple bucks.
Yes, I'd frame those.
I did. I framed them.
Really?
They're fun. So come because your
You
house.
never told me you did that.
You got WorldCom. You got Enron. Those people made off with our money like bandits, and they made a bunch of money. But that's what I wanted to bring out. How does the consumer feel about this? And if you want, I did bring an article from the Northwest Indiana Times, September 25th. We never got to it, about the $1 billion that we got for
Selling toll roads.
another $1 billion for jacking the fees up for commercial vehicles on the toll road. And Senator Karen Tallien had a very good commentary on what's going on. And I just want to read a couple pieces. It's very good. She does not agree that the administration was given authority to spend this money. So the state of Indiana got $1 billion, and the governor says he can spend it any way he wants. Doesn't have to go to the Senate or the House.
No, that's wrong.
She doesn't agree. She says, no. You got, this is not money you spend at will. But she says the toll road itself has already been troublesome, and 60% of the $1 billion is going to I-69. And if you go look up I-69, that has been a debacle since the day it started. She says, we already seen the total mess that resulted from the last toll road lease that sent money to I-69. First they gave money to it. Then they did a public-private partnership. Now the state took it back over. Now we're going to take more money from the toll road and try to finish it. We just repeat and
I don't
repeat
even remember
and
where
repeat.
I-69 runs.
It's this I-69, I think, runs from Bloomington kind of all the way up through to Fort Wayne. It's
Okay.
not there.
Right.
But so we're in the stretch from Indy to Fort Wayne, I think.
Okay.
There's really no access to get through the state at a diagonal. So they built I-69, an interstate, brand new interstate. And more, that's like a black hole of money. So she's saying, of course they're taking our money and they're subsidizing new rides for Indianapolis. So we get the roads and the trucks and the environmental and friendly, and Indianapolis gets $1 billion and they spend it any way they feel like. I'm proud of her. That was a good commentary of her to put that in there and stand up for us here in Northwest Indiana, because we sure don't seem to get our fair share.
We don't get very much from downstate. But back to the economy, our last show we talked about the 53% of Michigan City struggling.
Yeah.
The consumer rating, their consumer happiness is one thing. I look at it as hard numbers, which you can find from the census report, the 2010 census report. You can find from the IRS that the median income for a family in Michigan City is in the mid 30,000, about 33, 34,000, which that equates to two less than $10 an hour jobs. That's what I mean. People where the husband and wife are both working and they can't make ends meet. They can't own a home. Michigan City is a 45% rental community. 45% of the people living in Michigan City rent, 55% own. And the people that rent are renting from people that own a property that don't live in their property, versus our more affluent suburbs. Long Beach, Trail Creek, Potawatomi Park, where you have better than 90% of the people that own property live in their property. Very high percentage of home ownership in our suburbs that we don't have in Michigan City.
That's why,
that to me is a statement of the economy, where it's at.
That's why I brought up the consumer index, because the United States feels good, but we're not seeing it.
Is it really healthy?
We're not seeing it.
Yeah.
Somebody's seeing it, LaPorte, but we're not. We're a recreational community. So that's our 5-week wrap up. He says we got a minute, so I got like 30 seconds left. It's always fun to do 5 shows. We won't be back for 5 weeks. Obviously, we have many more topics, but it's always fun.
Yeah. Brewers are up 2-0 over the Colorado Rockies. Tomorrow night and Monday night they play. Go Brew Crew.
That's what we got to vote.
I just don't know if they can handle Boston or the Yankees. That's tough.
I don't think so.
They're always tough.
They're very good.
They're tough. Thanks for watching us. We'll see you in 5 weeks.